Okay, hopefully everybody can hear me. Sorry I was running late. My computer crashed just as I was starting it up. Let's see. Can everybody hear me okay? If you can type into your chat box, that'd be very helpful. Guys, can you hear me okay? Everybody hear me okay? If you type something into the box, that'd be helpful. Excellent. Can you guys hear me okay? If you just type yes into the box. I see Zeddy, Lynn, Sandra. Just want to make sure that you guys can hear me just fine. Can you hear me? Excellent. Very good. All right. So this is the first time I actually got this thing to work without crashing, which is a big deal for me. All right. So let me just find the file I was looking at earlier. Put together a little something for us. So this is meant to be an interactive process. Was it P presentation? Boom. Okay. So I will look for your feedback. This isn't a big sales pitch. I actually do want to provide you with a bunch of information for the reason that, as I'll show you in a second, I've had a ton of feedback from Facebook that is just frustrating me to no end. So I thought it was a great idea to put together a webinar to kind of educate you as best as I can and make sure that you're not taken advantage of and that you get the results that you're looking for. Let me see here. Okay, so can you see the presentation if I put it up here? Boom. There's got to be a way to make this bigger too. Can everybody see the presentation? Can I get a yes? When I put it up like that? Yes or no? Anybody? Can anybody? When I put the presentation up, can you see it? All right. All right. So that should do it. This should get us here. Okay. So my name is Brian Diaz. This is howtofixmycredit.com. Today we'll be covering some advanced credit repair tactics. Again, my name is Brian Diaz. I'm the CEO of howtofixmycredit.com. If you stick on to this call, I do have a little mystery gift for you to be towards the end. Just a little something to make it worth your while to stick to the very end. Before we get started, I'd ask that you turn off your cell phones, close the other tabs on your computer. If I could get your undivided attention, I want to get right to the point and provide you with a lot of content today. If you're like me, you got a little girl, 2-year-old, then you want to lock your door and keep her from rushing the room. I didn't lock the door, so there's a chance she'd come in here. She's really cute, and she'll probably try to make you laugh by doing some lip sync or something. My name is Brian Diaz. If we haven't met before, if you haven't seen my videos, I am the CEO of howtofixmycredit.com. I am a nationally recognized credit expert. I am the creator of the credit audit system, author of the book Real Credit Repair, former U.S. Army medic. I'm a husband. I'm a father of a 2-year-old little girl with another little baby on the way, which we don't know what it is yet. It's going to be a surprise. And I'm a good friend to my family and my friends. So this is what I was referring to earlier. This on Facebook, I have a number of posts with several 100 comments and a few hundred shares, and it's been brought to my attention that Okay, when I have a post or an advertisement running, giving away some free content, some free information to the public, inevitably, 1 out of every 4 comments is someone offering unsolicited credit advice. And 99% of the time, they are wrong. So I just grabbed, like, I pulled up one of the posts and I just grabbed the first 5 that I saw just to give you an example. The very first one was one I got today. I don't believe this even works. It's a scam for sure. Someone else posted, Credit Karma has direct disputes for a TransUnion and it's free. You can only do 1 at a time. Last month, I got rid of 2 old collections. The Equifax side, you have to go to through their Credit Karma, but you can't dispute all of them. You can dispute all of them if you want. I'm going to go into details on this kind of thing, but so that you understand, when you dispute through a website, you are not utilizing the full power of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. I'll get into a little bit more detail why in a second, but your odds of getting success are maybe 20 to 30% as opposed to the 70% that I can show you. However, if you do dispute online, you kill your chances of ever being able to use my methods moving forward. Pay your bills on time and you don't have to worry. This is not true. 4 out of 5 credit reports contain errors. Those errors are not your fault. Those errors are due to the method, the form of collection, of information collection that they use, and have nothing to do with you whatsoever. It is not uncommon for someone to go and apply for a home financing or auto loan to find out that they have a bunch of errors on their credit report that they had no idea were there, and they're not their fault. Dispute with all the credit bureaus. This is someone giving advice on how to remove, I think it was inquiries. Dispute with all credit bureaus. They will the collections, that's what it was. They will contact the collection agency and make them provide info proof that debt is yours. If they don't, it will be removed. This is also not true. The credit bureaus do not investigate the creditors or the collection agencies. They simply notify them that you, the consumer, are disputing the information, and it's up to them, to the creditor or the collection agency, to investigate themselves. There is no third-party investigation service. None of it works. I hired a company. My score went down 50 points. Well, obviously, there's more to a credit score than simply your payment history. Although your payment history does make up a large portion of your score, if I remove a bunch of negative items and you add 1 new one, then 1 new one can have more of a negative effect than me removing 8 old ones if the other ones are 2 years or older. So there's you have that. You have I have a client that I'm working on right now, trying to apply for a home financing. Our goal was to get them to a 680. They only have to get 20 points. We removed a bunch of stuff, and their score was down. I think it was maybe 2 points lower than when we started. And what we found is that they had a brand new collection, and they had maxed out all their credit cards. So their debt utilization was went from, I think, 50% to 100%. Those 2 factors combined lowered their score, even though we removed a bunch of negative data. So just be careful who you take your advice from, because although the credit bureaus and the creditors have perpetuated a bunch of lies and untruths, it's now being perpetuated by people providing information that they have no business providing. If you can't write a book on the topic, you shouldn't be providing information, providing advice to other people. All right, so what we're going to talk about today is my 3-step process for improving your credit score. This is like the hard and fast nitty-gritty version, but these are some advanced tactics, and I'll ask you for some questions and answers so that we can to kind of clarify this stuff. But I'm just going to use some broad strokes so you understand. First thing I want to address is the factors that are included in your FICO score. Now, you as a consumer only care about your FICO score. If you go to Credit Karma, you go to TransUnion, you go to pretty much any other website, they are not selling you FICO scores. Every credit bureau has their own credit score, and they try to sell to the public because by modeling it after the FICO score. They'll use the same kind of credit range, like 300 to 800, make it look similar so that you can't tell the difference. Since FICO scores are the only things that lenders use, then that's the only one that really makes a difference to you. That's the only one you should concern yourself with. Now, FICO does not make public exactly the formula they use to develop their scoring criteria. What we do know is that 35% of your score is derived from your payment history. That's, have you paid your bills on time? And if you were late, how late were you and how often? The next biggest factor is the amounts owed. That's called debt utilization. How much do you owe on each account, and how much of your credit limit have you used? Excuse me. Other criteria that are important but not as important are your credit history. How long has your account been open? What is the age of each account? New credit, in other words, how many new accounts or inquiries have you had recently? And the types of credit, meaning ratio of credit cards to loans. All these are important, but today we're going to focus on the two biggie, the payment history and the amounts owed, as well as the new credit. All right, and everything got deleted. Awesome. So, give me 1 second. We will fix this. Come on, really? So bear with me. I'm just pulling up the slides, the original slides that I created. For some reason, they didn't print up properly. All right. View. Present. Okay. So let me just verify that you guys can in fact see the screen. All right, let's see. Excellent. So hopefully you can see the screen. This was the original, so oh, there we go. Okay. So here we are. Okay, so our 3-step strategy. These are time-tested tactics I've been using since 2006 to produce prepare results or credit score improvements for my clients. Okay, 3-step strategy. The first one is to erase errors even after they've been verified by the credit bureaus or your creditors. Second step is to settle collections for deletion or pennies on the dollar, and the third step is to build credit in months, not years. So first thing we're going to take on is erase errors after they've been verified. Okay, so credit bureaus and creditors make mistakes. The way they gather information, I mean, if you think about it, it's Christmas. You're at Target. You're buying Christmas presents, and you have 1,000 people standing behind you in line. Everybody's really impatient and sweating and angry because they're standing in line trying to buy Christmas presents. And the person behind the counter who makes $8 an hour wants to know if you want to fill out a Target card so that you can save 15% on your purchase. So in a hurry, you fill it out with the terrible handwriting because you're under stress, and they try to enter it in quickly because they're under stress. What are the chances? What's the probability that between the two of you that is going to be an inaccurate credit application? But you get approved, and that's that. But there's a strong probability that some of the information is going to be entered incorrectly. I mean, that's just to give you a for example. There is so much human interaction throughout the credit system, the credit reporting system, that there are errors galore pretty much everywhere you go. Okay, so a recent Government Accountability Office study stated that 4 out of 5 credit reports contain errors. These errors have nothing to do with you. Of those errors, it's estimated that 30% of them are serious enough that they could affect your ability to get approved for financing, or just make you pay excessively high interest rates and payments due to the errors. So because of that, the FTC came up with the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which gives you the right as consumer to dispute inaccuracies from your credit report. Okay, as I stated earlier, though, when you dispute with the credit bureaus, which is the process that the Fair Credit Reporting Act stipulates that you take, the bureaus simply send out a single-page fax or email to the creditor asking them to investigate themselves. And those creditors are left to themselves to investigate. I mean, they're on the honor system. Okay, understand that when your score is low, the banks get to charge you more money. The credit bureaus, you're not their client. The creditor is their client. So they're just gathering data for the creditors. They both make more money when you have bad credit. So there's really no incentive for either of them to report accurately. All right, so your first step is you need to actually dispute with the credit bureaus. That is the first step, because what you want is for those creditors to verify those those errors as accurate. Okay, once they verified it, you now have them caught in kind of like you have evidence that they claim to have verified it. So now what we want to do is contact them directly, and you want to inquire about their verification process. Now, when you contact them, this needs to be documented. This is a legal process. So you want to send certified mail and document both the letters you send them, the envelopes with the tracking numbers and everything, as well as their responses. When you inquire about the verification process, you literally ask them, what's your verification process? What type of documents can you provide for me? Depending on what they respond back to you, you have to decide whether or not it's sufficient documentation. Very often you'll get them they'll send back something like a printout of your payments. This is not sufficient documentation. If you go to the FTC's website, ftc.gov, and you search, you'll find what they call FTC opinion letters. Those opinion letters will stipulate past case scenarios of FTC representatives responding as to what is sufficient documentation, what's sufficient proof. What you need to do is scan through that or find a case that's similar to yours and find out what the FTC said, and then use that to kind of shore up your argument. Okay. It's not uncommon for them to fight back a couple times, the creditor, I mean, and when they do, just start involving the FTC. At the bottom of the letter, you copy CC FTC and put the creditor on notice that you're involving the FTC. You could also involve the Better Business Bureau, but they're not a government agency. But the more initials, FTC, BBB, and stuff like that, Attorney General, the more initials you put at the bottom of the page, the more efficient it may become. All right. Before we move on, let me see. Did anybody have any questions regarding any of that? Let me just jump back to this other screen here. All right. Control room. Boom. All right. Did anybody have? So in the chat box, if you have any questions regarding the process as far as disputing and verifying originally with the creditor, throw them up there, and I'm happy to answer them. Or you could say no questions, anything like that, just so I know somebody's alive, because I can't hear you. Anything? Any questions? Can you guys hear me now? All I hear is, okay, no questions. Thank you, Leonie. Audrey, is everybody here? Were you able to hear that first section regarding, all right, no questions, Terry, thank you. Okay, so if there's no questions, we'll go ahead and move on. So the next portion, boom, okay. Next portion is settling collections for deletion or pennies on the dollar. The first thing I would advise you is whenever you're dealing with the collection agency, you do not need to speak with the collection agent. I mean, it's a stressful situation, and believe me when I tell you that they are trained to manipulate the conversation. Okay, they're going to keep asking questions, and they're going to get payment information from you if you stay on the phone with them long enough. So ideally, you want to, and besides, who wants to deal with somebody, harassing them on the telephone day in, day out, trying to get money from them? The first thing you want to, well, let's start here. You don't, put it this way, you don't need to speak with them on the telephone. I'm going to show you how to get around it in a second. All right, so collection agencies that are either buy debt. So if, let's say Chase they charge off a debt, they might sell it on the open market. If it's, they might sell it for 50 cents on the dollar or 70 cents on the dollar. The more recent the debt is, the more money they can get for it, but they sell off their debt at a discount. Some collection agencies will purchase it, and whatever they can collect over and above what they paid for it, that's their profit. Some other collection agencies act as third-party collectors. So Chase has an account they charge off. They don't want to sell the debt, so they bring it to a third-party collection agency. It's kind of like outsourcing a collection, the collection activity. Those collection agents will collect, and then they'll capture a portion of the proceeds on behalf of Chase. Usually, if it's an A paper, like a debtor that they believe is going to pay and has never really missed before, and it's a large amount, they might use a third party just because they can capture more of the money for themselves and not take the hit. Sometimes if they're coming close to the end of the year and they have quotas to meet and they have to meet like an investor's numbers, then they'll sell off the debt just to capture the profit, or save as much of the profit as they can right away. Regardless whether they're third party or they're buying the debt, all collection agencies are bound by the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Okay, if you're not familiar with it, you really should read it over real quick. But it basically stipulates the process, what they are and are not allowed to do when they're collecting debt. They can't call during certain hours. They can't call your neighbors and say that they're collecting a debt against you. There's things that they can and can't do. If you didn't provide your cell phone number, they can't call your cell phone, that kind of thing. The thing to understand about a collection agency is they have a contractual obligation to report accurately to the credit bureaus, okay? So when you ask them to accept payment and stop reporting on your credit report, or delete the remarks on the credit report, they actually have a contractual obligation that they have to report accurately, okay? So that said, you have a few different options. The first thing you want to do in any situation, whenever you receive that first dunning letter, the first dunning letter is the first collection letter. The very first thing you want to do is send a validation request. And that's just simply a letter asking for proof that the debt is valid. Who is the original debtor? What's the amount? What was the original amount? What's the total amount now? What's the address you have on file for the debtor? Basic information that will prove whether or not this is a valid debt that they can collect against you. Now, if you can pay, if you have the money to pay, your best bet is to pay the original creditor if they're willing to accept the payment. Because most creditors, when they sell the debt off, they have like a 30 to 90-day window that they can take the debt back. It's written into their contract. So if you contact them directly, they can take the collection back from the collection agency. You pay them in full. The collection agency has to remove it from your credit report if it did appear there, because they no longer have the debt. They never technically had it because it was called back from them. And that's one way to avoid the entire situation. Your next alternative is, let's say it's 6 months later, the creditor can no longer take the debt back. If you have the money, you can negotiate in exchange for that cooperation to cease reporting. Now, as I said, they have a contractual obligation that if they report, they have to report accurately. But there's nothing that says they have to report. So you can simply get an agreement from them that if you make payment in full, that they agree to not respond or to cease reporting in the future should you dispute the remark. So we've had great success with that technique as well. Your final alternative would be to settle for a percentage of the debt owed. Right now, most lenders are taking anywhere from 20 to 40 cents on the dollar. So you can negotiate them down. $10,000 debt, you can get down to $3,000, $3,500. Once it's been paid and you've settled, you come back maybe 3 to 6 months later and try to dispute it off. At this point, they can no longer sue you. So the danger with collections is if it's a brand new collection, if it's a large enough dollar size, usually anywhere over $1,000 or $1,500, and it's within the statute of limitations, which varies from state to state, but the statute of limitations is the period of time that someone can sue you for a debt. So if it's a large debt and it's within the statute of limitations, I wouldn't recommend trying to dispute or trying to get out of paying it through letters, because they'll turn around and sue you. So your best bet for them is to either make payment in full or settle, and then once it's settled, and they can no longer sue you, or once payment is made, they can no longer sue you, then you could go back and attempt to dispute it off. Once the collection agency has the money, they have much less incentive to try to worry about proving this for to keep reporting on your credit report. They don't really care. They just want their money. All right. So before we move on to that one, any questions regarding collections? Let's see. Carlos, can you explain what a 609 dispute is? I can't really. That's one of those. That's one of those really shady tactics that some credit repair agencies say works, but doesn't actually work. It has nothing to do with the credit report. This is more like a legal question, and I do have an attorney. Sorry. One second. All right, I was trying to show my face, but whatever. I do have an attorney that can answer it, but this is one of those questions where I haven't heard it in a long time. But at one point, when maybe in 2008, when early in my credit repair career, there was a service that was going around contacting my clients, promising them that they had an attorney that could force any item off a credit report through a 609 dispute. I haven't heard it since then in a really long time because everybody knows it's garbage. It really has nothing to do with the Fair Credit Reporting Act. It has something to stipulate with the billing process. But yeah, I'll get you that information, Carlos, and matter of fact, and send out an email. If anybody else is interested, just email me at brian@howtofixmycredit.com, and once I respond to Carlos, I'll get you the answer to that as well. Matthew, what do you do when you want to settle a collector but it's still a high amount? Well, if you're settling, then you're settling for pennies on the dollar. So the strategy for negotiating a collection is you're going to start lower, always going to start lower than you anticipate the other person's going to willing to accept. So let's say it's a $10,000 debt, and in truth, I really want to pay reasonably $3,000, $3,500 is really all I can afford. Okay, I'm going to start out at like $1,000 in payments, right? Because if I start out at $3,000, $3,500, this is what I can pay. They're going to start out, trying to pull. That's their starting point. So they're going to try to raise me up from there. Okay, so I want to start much lower than I anticipate where I'm going to end up. Once I have that, once I have opened up the negotiation process, I want to come up as slowly as possible and try to make them come down faster. So if they say, if I open up with 1,000 and they counter with 7,000, I don't want to counter next with 3,000. I want to counter next with 1,200. Like 1,211 with some kind of number that sounds like I have my calculator out and I'm counting my pennies and I'm being really, this is all I got. This is all I can put together. So the negotiation process, you have to start low and come up in really, really slow chunks. And it might even be a situation where you say, listen, I can't, I'm gonna have to, let me call my mom and see if my mom can loan me some money, and call them back. I got another $437 and come up really, really, really slow. Let me see what's next. How do you get your cell if you didn't? Oh, how do they get your cell if they didn't? There's actually dozens of ways to get someone's cell phone number, but it's the best thing in the world if someone's calling your cell number and you didn't give them permission. So what normally happens is when you fill out a loan application, you probably put your cell phone number on the application, and in doing so, you are legally authorizing them to call your cell phone. So when they sell it to a collection agency, even that collection agency, because it's on the original loan application, they are entitled to use your cell phone. What you need to do is either in writing, or it's better to do it in writing so you have proof. Send them a letter requesting that they stop calling your cell phone. And you want to send it certified mail so that you can document it. Now, every time they call your cell phone, it's a $1,500 fine. Especially, it's even better is if they use one of those automated messages. If they call your cell phone with an automated message and you record it after you told them not to call you, you will make money. And matter of fact, if I were you, I wouldn't even do anything until I would sit on it as long as possible. But every time they call you, it's like a $1,500 fine. If that's the case and you have a scenario like that where we can document it, contact me and I'll put you in touch with the right attorneys, and you'll make lots of money, and you'll be looking for more things to stop paying. No, I don't want to say that, but it'll be the silver lining of you having a collection, is because they'll be able to turn it around and not only settle your collection, but possibly even make it a profit center for you. How can a paid collection be changed from showing as a charge-off when it's paid? Well, let's say, for example, you have an account with Chase. Chase charges off the debt and sells it to a collection agency. When you have an agreement with that collection agency to settle, the Chase did actually charge off the debt, so they should be reporting that they're doing it accurately. But you can't get the charge off to change. They can no longer collect on the debt, but they took a loss on it. So those are two different ones. So for example, if you have one collection agency who sells it to another collection agency, the collection agency who held it from 2011 to 2013 can stay on your credit report, because the one that's holding it now is from 2013 to 2016. They're both going to be on the credit report simultaneously. Harold asks, I have a low score, 650, but I bought a house 3 years ago, 300,000, have 5 credit cards, all paid off but one. 06 game. Okay, I'm not sure. 6G's way score so low. Wow, why score so low? I would need to take a look at your credit report. So there's, as I explained earlier, there is more to your credit score than just your payment history. You have your debt utilization, you have ratios of loans to credit cards, you have the age of your credit reports, the average age of all the accounts on there. There's more to the factoring it than that I can't answer that question without actually looking at your credit score, credit report. That said, if you're using IdentityIQReport.com, as I suggested, it's $1 to sign up. You get like a 1-week trial, then it's only like $19 a month for all 3 bureaus. Within the credit monitoring software, on the left-hand side, there is what they call a score simulator. So you can actually put in criteria in there, like what if I paid off, paid off some of my debts? How would that affect my score? And then you can start manipulating criteria on there to find out what the smallest things you can do to boost your score. Makisha, is there a time frame where the third party can either start or restart reporting your debt? So the statute of limitations is a period of time they can sue you, but on the credit report, it's 7 years. Oh, where are you going? But what can sometimes happen is after the period of time in which the debt can be collected and reported on your credit report, there are what they call zombie debt buyers. There are collection agencies that specialize in buying debt that's old, and they'll buy it for literally pennies on the dollar. And then what they do is they'll report it to your credit report like 30 times, $10, $10, $10, $10, in the hopes that you try to go for financing and you can't get it because of all the collections on your credit report, that they'll settle with you for pretty much anything, but it's more than a penny on the dollar, so they're making a profit. Technically, it's illegal, but it's just something that happens and something you got to deal with. How do you remove hard inquiries on a credit report? This is by Matthew. So Matthew, the only companies that can pull your credit report are the ones that have a signed authorization. So technically, when you go to apply for a home, for financing of any kind, and they shop it out with different lenders, each lender might pull your credit report. Now, because you signed that authorization with that original creditor, there's usually a little clause on there that says that they can pull your credit, that you authorize them or their assigns, and those other creditors are their assigns. That said, they normally don't all get a copy of that that authorization. So if you simply contact them and say, listen, I don't recall authorizing you to pull my credit, could you please remove it? I would start with a phone call. If they agree, awesome. If they don't agree, then send it in writing, send a certified letter. And if they can't produce a signed authorization, then they have to remove it. Simple as that. No problem, Harold. Carlos, no problem. I'll get you the answer on that. Probably come up again. But that's one of those, I hear all kinds of crazy stuff. I had a gentleman walk in. I work with a lot of loan officers. I had a gentleman walk in right after I walked out. My loan officers called me up. He told them that his attorney could change, that they had an attorney who had a friend at the credit bureau that can literally change the code and remove items from your credit report. And they wanted $3,000 up front to do so. Now, not only is collecting the money up front illegal, but what my loan officers, who are very smart people normally, didn't understand is that, okay, let's say I did have a guy at Experian, okay, and he could change the code to remove things from my credit report. There's two other credit bureaus, So do they have a man on the inside of all 3 credit bureaus? And did this guy he's never gotten a promotion? All of them are at the same exact position forever. That they, I mean, it's just the shadiness that I see within the industry even today is sickening, and that's why I wanted to do a webinar, just so I can kind of show you what is possible and what's not possible. Lynn, the website for the credit report. I use IdentityIQReport.com. IdentityIQReport.com. Let me see if I can stick it in here for you. Most of these services, these credit monitoring services, charge anywhere from $30 to $55 a month for the 3 credit bureaus with scores, and most of the scores are garbage. Identity IQ Report, the scores are not FICO scores, but that's not why we use them. We use them because you can get one for $1. They're only $19.99 a month. for credit monitoring. You can do it quarterly, you could do it monthly. I would recommend that a minimum everybody should check once every 3 months, because you never know when you're going to need your credit. And if you find an error, it's not going to be an overnight fix. And like I said, they have a little thing on the side, a score simulator, that will help you to figure out what adjustments you can make on your own to improve your score. Never dispute anything online, never. Okay. So if we don't have any other questions, we'll move on to the next little section. Where are we? Boom. Okay. Building credit fast. So people really underestimate the power of the debt utilization side of the credit scoring factor. It's probably the easiest thing to manipulate to have the largest effect with the least amount of investment. Okay. So debt utilization, or debt ratio, makes up 30% of your score. The way you calculate it is you take your total credit balances, like all the credit cards that you use. So that, if you have 10,000 in credit extended to you and you using 5,000 of it, then you're at 50% debt utilization, or debt ratio. Okay. It's really as hard and fast, as simple as that. Now, they say that you should kind of distribute your balances evenly throughout your cards. I find that's garbage. I don't find that to be true at all. It doesn't matter. I personally would prefer that you had most of your balance on one card and kept everything else at like 1%. You don't want to keep them at 0%, because then they'll close your card. But you want to keep your debt at 1% of the credit extended to you. So if you have a $1,000 limit, you might use like $100 a month on it and pay it almost all of it off each month, type of thing. Use it to fill up your gas tank once a month, let them bill you and pay it almost all off. And then keep one card that has most of your transactions, whatever gives you the most points or miles, so that you can fly and get cash back and all that kind of stuff. You want to focus all your attention on one card, because it's easier to manage that one account. So the lower your debt ratio is, the better, and that's in general. Okay. The fastest way to manipulate your debt utilization, number one, is authorized user. All right. So an authorized user is, let's say, I use parents all the time as a good example. Parents, they have at least one. Your parents should have at least one credit card that they've had for like a long, long time. That probably has a high limit on it and great payment history. They can add you in as an authorized user. It costs them nothing. You don't even get a card necessarily. They don't have to give you an actual card. But what it does is it gives you the benefit of having the seasoning of that aged credit line on your credit report. Okay, that automatically adds years to your credit report. And one of the big things about for credit scores is how old your credit report is. I've never seen an 800 score that didn't have at least a 20-year history on the credit report. Right, so age is important. The best thing about an authorized user account is that if you're the authorized user, you're not legally obligated for any of those debts. Okay, so you get the benefit without any of the liability. Awesome. And if God forbid something does happen with the person who gave you the authorized user account, that they did miss a payment, or they ended up defaulting on the card, it's not a big deal to remove it from your credit report. Okay. The next best thing after authorized user would be a joint account. Now, I generally don't advise joint accounts unless you're trying to like purchase a house or something like that, where you really would benefit from the instant boost that the joint account would give you. In general, one of the things I coach when I'm working with people who are going through a divorce, or they recently married and they want to prepare themselves to make sure that they don't have, that they don't hurt themselves financially in the event that things that go south, is I tell them no joint accounts. There's no reason to have a joint account. Okay, you can have one person who has the account. If you really want, give the other person a card. They don't need to be on it together. But by separating the two, if you ever did come into some kind of financial difficulty, one of the great things is that you always have the other person as the person to fall back on. If I'm in trouble financially and my accounts are all separate from my wife, well, then we need to do something financially to get another card for emergency, for medical something or other. I could always have my wife take out an account in her name, because my mistakes or my financial hardship didn't affect her credit score. But like I said, if you're trying to apply for home financing, and the difference of adding on that joint account gets you a significantly lower interest rate and save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest payments, by all means, add on the joint, and then you can always take it off after. But you are legally obligated when you have a joint account. So if that one person, something happens to them where they're unable to pay, that creditor can now come after you. Okay, so that's what you have to consider. After those, then you have secured credit cards are the next one. So with the secured card, you go to a bank, you give them $500, they give you a card, you have a $500 limit, and anytime you borrow money against it, you have to replace it, kind of thing. Secure cards are fun. It's a great way to build credit. Just make sure that the card reports to all 3 bureaus, because not every secured card does. Okay, just ask, just as simple as asking, not a big deal. The easiest thing to get after that is franchise cards. Like I said, you go to Target or Home Depot with a large purchase, they're quick to pull out the application. Those are pretty easy to qualify for. Most people, that's usually like their first credit card. If you have damaged credit, if you've gone through a bankruptcy, you've gone through a divorce, you've had a debt settlement, and you're trying to reestablish credit, and you need to do so quickly, I have a list of credit offers that are relatively easy to get approved for, and some of them have credit limits of like $5,000 on www.build-credit.net. So these accounts are specifically, or what we use, they're like our, the ace in the hole, the back pocket trick when we have no other alternatives, but we need to add. So if I have a client, for example, they have a $10,000 card, but they have $10,000 in credit and they're maxed out at $10,000. And the only way for us to get them approved for, my loan officer to get them approved for financing is if we drop their debt ratio. Well, then I would bring them over to Build Credit. I'd have them sign up for like My Jeweler card or something like that. And the My Jeweler card is going to give them a $5,000 credit limit. The caveat to that is they can only use it on the My Jeweler website. So, they don't get to actually use that a $5,000 card wherever they want. However, now they have a $15,000 credit limit and only using 10,000 of it. So they're at 75 or 65 debt ratio instead of being at 100%. So that gives them the boost that they're looking for. All right. So before we move on, any questions about any of those? All right. So there's a bunch of questions here. Let me catch up to them. Will we get access to a PDF of this webinar for those of us who are late arriving? I will be happy to send you out some of this information, Janetta. Harry, I have 5 accounts on my report that's paid off, but it will remain on my credit until 2017. How do I take that off now? Well, that's what I'm teaching you is you need to dispute with the credit bureaus, then you need to contact the creditor and attempt to investigate their verification process. And if they fail to verify or prove that they have sufficient documentation, then you use that information to get it off your credit report. Those are the process that you need to go through. Carlos, can a collection agency report to the credit bureau's 8 charged off credit card from 2008? Wait, can a collection agency report to the credit bureau's 8 charged off credit card from 2000? Carlos, I don't understand how you phrase the question. Baby crying. Yeah, you hear my daughter? Okay, yeah, she's taking a bath. Can you send me the beginning of this webinar? Audrey, actually, yes. Don't panic. We'll be putting together an encore performance. I think probably do another one on Friday. I'll put together an encore performance for you so you can catch the whole thing. Okay, no worries. Okay, so if there's no other questions about that. So I realize in the past, wow, it's been 45 minutes. I've hit you with a lot of information, but hopefully you agree that it's been time well spent, lots of content. Obviously, I can't cover everything you need to cover in an hour-long webinar. I mean, technically, truthfully, if we had all day, I couldn't get to it. Even when I bring in like a new credit consultant within the office and we're training them, we're talking about 2 to 3 weeks of like day-long intense training. There's things we can't cover just in that time frame. I haven't even begun with the FICO scorecards or anything like that. That's much more advanced. So if you guys would like to learn more about how you can get the results that you're looking for with much less effort, would that be good for you? Would that be cool? I don't want to keep anybody around if that's not something you're interested in. Audrey said, everyone, my credit score has improved since working with Brian. He's wonderful. Thank you, Audrey. Matthew, what is your opinion on credit repair companies? I'm going through one right now, $58 a month, but can they do that? I can't and have removed a lot on my credit. But what can they do? I can't. Oh, what can they do that I can't and they have removed a lot on my credit? Okay, so that's a good question, Matthew. What can a credit repair do that you can't? It's not that they can do anything that you can. You can do all the same things if you have the time and if you have the time and the persistence. So there's a lot to learn. So you'd have to go study You know, obviously, if we're doing credit repair all day, I don't care if you're mowing lawns. If all you do all day long is mow lawns, you're gonna get really, really good at it. You're gonna learn the best time of day to learn to mow the lawn, the best type of blades on the lawnmower, what oil works best in that lawnmower. I mean, you're gonna get to know it inside and out in ways that no one has even considered before. What do you think happens when I'm looking at 30 credit reports a day? And it's the same thing when I'm talking to the creditors and the collection agencies. I got to the point where I started going out and meeting them. I would speak with managers from creditors. I'd speak with the owners of the collection agencies. I'd interview them, and I'd get all the inside information. I know things about how they run their business probably better than they do. So what can they do that you can't? No, they can't do anything. You can technically do all the same things. It's just you only have one chance to get it right, because if you dispute incorrectly, if you start telling a story and giving them information and verifying that it's actually the errors are yours, but you're just not happy about them because of the way you explain yourself, well, then you'll never get it off. So if you only have one shot and your credit supports you, it's better to outsource it. That said, some credit repair companies are better than others. Okay. I'm not a big fan of the month-to-month service companies. A lot of them do good work, but in my opinion, if I'm going to pay somebody like by the hour, they're going to move very slowly. Everyone who works at howtofixmycredit.com works on performance. Every single person, salespeople, processors, everybody works on performance, because I only care about the results. Nothing else matters to me. You know, if you contact me to fix your credit, do you care that I spent 10 hours on it, or do you care how many items I got off? That's all that matters. You want results. Lynn, that's a good question. Lynn asked, yes, Sandra, I can send you a copy of the PDF as well. Janetta, yes, I'm going to be putting together an encore performance, which I'll email everybody about. Lynn, I am going to be starting doing more webinars more often. Excellent question. I plan on putting together an entire course, more advanced course. Yes. Lynn, what you shared tonight is great information. Thank you. You're very welcome, Lynn. Audrey, I just added 20,000 in credit since I started with Brian in the last 45. Wow, Audrey, that's awesome. You will not be disappointed. Thanks, Brian. I'm very happy that I took a chance on your company. I will definitely refer other clients to you. Thank you so much, Audrey. I appreciate that. Terry, I'm starting my own business. I separate my credit with my business. Terry, check out Loans for Success. That's my other website, loans4success.com. There you will see a presentation that will explain to you all about business credit and how important it is to separate your personal from your business credit. I don't want to get into a tangent there, but yeah, it's definitely something worth looking into. And then let me know if you need any assistance with that, and I'm happy to help you. Okay. So if it's okay with you guys, I had something special for you. Let me know if you want me to continue. I had a special offer for you for those who are looking for credit repair results like Audrey. Yes, yes, or yes, no. Is that a yes? Does anybody want to hear my offer? Anybody? All right, so there you go. Awesome. Yes. Thank you. I need some assistance. Thanks. Awesome. Okay, cool. I just want to, I don't want to be boring anybody. All right, guys. All right, so here's the deal. If you weren't aware, howtofixmycredit.com is a pay-for-deletion credit repair service. So not only do we offer products where you can fix your own credit, which I'm more than happy to extend to you, but we also do the work for you. And like I said earlier, I'm not a big fan of credit repair companies that charge on a monthly basis, because the amount of work I put into it doesn't matter. What matters is your results, okay? Since 2006, we've averaged a 70% deletion rate. That means 7 out of 10 items that we dispute and challenge, we get removed, okay? You begin to see results in as little as 30 days, and you only pay for the items that we remove outside of the initial enrollment fee. What you get is your initial credit audit. During your audit, you'll discover what's wrong with your credit report, the types of things that can be fixed and what to expect, how fast you could expect to see results, and an idea on the kind of improvement you can expect, okay? What you don't know about the initial credit audit is we also meet as a team, the credit specialists as well as myself, and we'll talk about every person's scenario before we begin. We try to compare it to other case studies that we've had in the past to see where we've been successful, and others that didn't work out the way we wanted, so we could try a different technique. Over here, we document everything. I mean, it's literally somewhat OCD how we document everything. We document the addresses we mail to, the fonts that we use, the color of the ink. We document everything because I want to know what's going to get me the best results. So when I tell you that your probability of seeing results with us is greater than anywhere else, it's not an exaggeration because I can prove it. I have the numbers to prove it, okay? Along with the initial credit audit, you get unlimited disputes with all 3 bureaus. So we're not going to dispute 2 or 3 items at a time just with TransUnion. We go after all 3 bureaus simultaneously because I'm not worried about red flags with the credit bureaus for a number of reasons. Mainly because I'm going after the creditor. That's why I know I'm going to get my permanent and faster results. Secondly, when they respond with that frivolous letter, I have an entire quiver of responses that will blow them out of the water. I will get them to continue to investigate our disputes even after they said it's been verified. So unlimited investigations with creditors and collection agencies. You don't have to worry about, you literally don't have to do anything. They'll send the responses to you, you just forward them to us. We document everything for you. Once a month, the credit expert will review your results with you, go over the itemized list of the items that we deleted, and then we'll give you advice on what you could be doing to improve your score. You also get unlimited access to our client portal with real-time updates. So you can log in anytime and see what items have been removed, what we're still working on, leave messages for the credit experts. If there's like something you don't want touched for whatever reason, or if you've received a phone call or what have you, you can leave the little messages on there. The fees for deletion. Public records and collections, which are the worst things that can happen to your credit report. Those are $75 per bureau. Late payments, charge-offs, settlements, foreclosure, repossession, pretty much everything other than public records and collections are $50 per bureau. Inquiries are $10 per bureau, okay? So normally, the initial credit audit, the enrollment is $295. Anyone who enrolls today, it's $195. This is a 30-minute special. This offer will end in 30 minutes. Just to get anytime you want to get started, just click on the enroll now. And so you save $100 to get started today. And by law, you have what's called a right of rescission. So you have a 3-day right of rescission to change your mind. So when you fill out the paperwork today, the service agreement, we won't be able to start your credit repair for at least 3 days. At the end of the 3rd business day, at that point, we'll drop your letters in the mail. Between then and between the time that you fill out the service agreement and the time that the letters go in the mail, that's when the team and I are consulting about your credit scenario, as well as entering your information into the client portal so that you can follow along. You'll get your login and password. And then, yeah, on the 3rd day is when we drop the letters. Now, when we drop the letters, as I said, the credit bureaus and creditors have 30 days to investigate and respond. When they respond to you, and we request that you forward that information to us. You should know that you should expect that sometimes you might receive letters from the credit bureaus saying that the dispute we received from you is suspicious looking, and it sounds like they're going to threaten that they're threatening to get the government involved. That is what they call a stall letter. Just forward that to us. There's nothing to be concerned about. I can show you a couple thousand of them. We're actually working on a class action lawsuit against Experian in particular for sending that letter out. In other instances, you might get a response that says that this is frivolous. It's a frivolous dispute that they've already investigated in the past. Not to be concerned. Don't be concerned with that either. Again, this is a standard stall tactic used by the credit bureaus because they're trying to stop from continuing on with the investigation. So this time, I'm happy to take any questions anybody has. Audrey, let me see, I missed a bunch of questions here. Okay, Edward, Brian, need your help. What's your best deal to help me? Edward, check out the link. That's if everybody knows me, I probably have a special offer maybe twice a year. So this is one of them. If you're looking for the discounted rate, this is it. It's probably not going to happen again until like maybe Christmas. Audrey, what I love about Brian's company is he's honest with you. Don't expect to get unrealistic information. He'll keep it real. I'm a real person and I was not paid. I called Brian and I drilled him. I told him straight up that I was not going for any more scams in this industry. Not only did Audrey drill me, she called me back. Her boyfriend's like an FBI agent. They researched me. So yeah, when she said she drilled me, she wasn't kidding. Carlos, I'll send you the email. Sorry, I'm using my cell phone. All good, Carlos. Anytime. Carlos, you're very welcome for the information. Audrey, yeah, hey, I'm sorry. Yeah, like I said, I only have discounts maybe twice a year, but I'm glad you're happy with the services, and we're just getting started. It's only been 30 days, Audrey. We still have a ways to go. Lynn, thank you, Brian. Looking forward to the next seminar, next webinar. Matthew, private student loans and collections, how to deal with them. It's Progressive is the one who owes it. What can I do? All right, so student loans and collection. I'm actually speaking with a student loan expert, and I'm trying to put together a webinar for next week. So Matthew, you might want to tune into that one. I know that in past cases, he's gotten student loans down to sometimes gotten them completely erased or dropped their payments down from $800 a month to $80 a month. I know in some instances he's able to pull them, even with poor payment histories, he's able to consolidate them down into one payment much lower. I'm not an expert in that field, so I probably would want you to speak with the expert first. Regarding your credit report, like I said, for a $17,000 collection, because that's basically what it is at this point, if they want to settle for $6,000, that sounds like an awesome deal. You might want to just, you might want to hold off a minute just to speak with the student loan expert. But to me, approaching it from the standpoint of it's a collection, it's $17,000 and they want to settle for $6,000, I would jump on that, and then 6 months later dispute off the negative information. That's the way I would generally handle that. Again, but if they have the paperwork, understand that no one can remove it if they have the proper documentation. It's just been my experience that 70% of the time they don't. Okay, so I can't promise you an outcome. All I can do is promise that I'll investigate the heck out of it, and if they don't have the documentation, I'll get it off. All right, guys. Sandra, send me the webinar information regarding private loans for my daughter. For student loans, I think you mean Sandra. Okay, we're probably going to be doing a webinar next week. I'm just trying to lock the guy down, but you should be receiving an email by this weekend. Janetta, we're probably going to have an encore performance. I'll probably do this again on Friday. I will send out an email about it shortly, okay? Any other questions? Questions? All right, guys. If you guys don't have any more questions, I'm just going to go ahead and leave the offer up here. This offer ends in 24 minutes. So yeah, I'll follow up with an email shortly regarding the replay. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had fun. Let me leave this one up here.